In a city once bright, there now lies silence so heavy it seems alive. Hiroshima, a name tied to a moment that changed everything, holds secrets in its shadows. When the bomb fell, echoes of lives lost trapped themselves in the walls. Journalist John Hersey came to tell the truth of the tragedy, but he stumbled upon something far more haunting. As he walked through the ruins, shadows flickered and whispered tales of survival and sorrow. Cryptic symbols blinked from broken walls, revealing hints of the past. With every step, eerie shadows seemed to guide him, drawing him deeper into a story that wanted to be told. They weren't just remnants, they were memories, longing to be seen. In this dance of light and dark, the past grips the present. The question hangs in the air: can we face what these shadows reveal? Only those brave enough to follow will discover what lies beneath the ashes of Hiroshima. The shadows will bring you home. Years after John Hersey passed away, a hidden manuscript was discovered in a locked chest with his things. This was not like his well-known book, Hiroshima. Instead, these pages were rough and broken, revealing a haunting story of shadows and whispers. It spoke of strange forces and fear. This was a tale he had never shared, a glimpse into the darkness he held inside. Each word seemed to pulse with the weight of secrets, creating a chilling feeling that gripped the reader. The rawness of his writing pulled you in, making your heart race and your mind whirl. It was as if the shadows were swirling around, reminding us of things we often choose to ignore. In the end, this manuscript showed that everyone has stories hidden deep within, sometimes too frightening to tell. Hersey stepped into a ghost town. Hiroshima was not the lively city it once was. It lay in ruins, lifeless and quiet, filled with broken buildings and heaps of ash. The sun shone down on the city, revealing shocking shapes on walls and sidewalks. These shapes were shadows, the last traces of people who had been there moments before the bomb fell. When he asked his guide about these haunting silhouettes, the man said, "They are all that remains of some." Hearing this made Hersey's heart ache. He felt the weight of those shadows. They were more than marks. They told stories of lives lost. As he moved through the wreckage, the shadows clung to him. They reminded him of the past and the pain of loss. Through his eyes, the world saw the truth of destruction. One city's ruin became a lesson for all. Hersey realized that while buildings break, memories last forever. Hersey walked down the cracked road, the sun beating down on him. It was a long journey to Onomichi, but then he saw something strange. A small camp was set up at the side of the road. When he approached, he expected to find people in need. Instead, he met 4 men who looked untouched by any disaster. Their clothes were clean and their skin looked well cared for, but their eyes were empty, like dark pits. He felt a chill run through him. "Are you okay?" he asked. They barely moved. Then one of them spoke. "The shadows will bring you home." The voice was smooth, but it sent shivers down Hersey's spine. Those words hung in the thick air around him, heavy and cold. He did not know what it meant, but it felt like a warning. Hersey stood there, confused and uneasy, wondering what lay ahead on his journey. Hersey woke up in shock. He felt like he was wrapped in fire, but when he opened his eyes, everything was quiet. The house he had rented was gone, turned to ashes. He was safe, with no burns on his skin, but something was wrong. When he looked down, he saw a thick, dark liquid creeping up his leg. It was strange and scary. He tried to touch it, but the pain hit him again, like 1,000 needles stabbing his skin. He wanted to scream, but he couldn't. Most frightening of all, he had no shadow. It was as if he was not really there, but the dark stuff showed he was more than real, and it wouldn't let him go. Why him? What had happened that night? He felt trapped in a nightmare that had only just begun. Hersey could not shake the pull that brought him back to Hiroshima. He stepped into the ruins where the air was thick with sadness. The streets were silent, filled with memories that hung like shadows. As he walked, he saw something that made his heart race. There, on a crumbling wall, was the shape of a person burned into the stone. He reached out to touch it, but a sudden heat shot through him, like the fire had come alive. In that moment, the shadow seemed to move closer, as if reaching out for him. Panic flooded his mind as whispers grew louder, drowning out everything else. It was a haunting reminder of the past, a past he could not forget. Hersey stood at the edge of the old shrine, his heart pounding. The guide had warned him that this place was not for the living, but something pulled him inside. The air felt different, heavy with secrets. As he walked through the doorway, he was struck by the strange carvings on the walls. They twisted and turned, echoing the patterns that danced across his own skin. He felt a chill. The whispers began softly, like a breeze rustling leaves, but soon they grew louder. "Come to us," they chanted, a haunting melody that echoed in his mind. Hersey's curiosity outweighed his fear. He stepped deeper into the shadows, his senses on fire, wanting to understand the power that lay in this forgotten place. What would he find? Who were the voices calling him? The answers loomed just out of reach, but he knew he could not turn back now. Hersey woke up one morning feeling very strange. He looked in the mirror, but his reflection didn't look right. It was fading away, almost lost in the glass. He noticed a dark shadow creeping on his skin, wrapping around his arms and chest. It felt alive, almost like it was feeding off his fear. The more he felt scared, the bigger the shadow grew. One night, in a desperate attempt to escape it, he took a knife to cut the black tendrils. It hurt so much. The shadow fought back, sending hot waves through his body. Hersey couldn't get away. He collapsed on the floor, feeling trapped by the darkness that was taking over him. He knew he had to face this haunting fear, or it would consume him forever. Hersey stepped lightly along the edge of the city when he stumbled upon four men. They stood silent, their faces blank as if carved from stone. "You are almost ready," one said, his voice deep and steady. "The shadows will bring you home." Confused and curious, Hersey wanted to know more, but the men only pointed toward the city. "Return to the epicenter," they urged together. Hersey felt a pull in his stomach. He wanted to resist, but something deep within him whispered to obey. As he turned and walked away, he sensed the shadows around him growing darker, closing in like an embrace. Each step felt harder than the last, but a strange sense of purpose began to emerge. What awaited him in the heart of the city? Only time would tell, but one thing was clear: the shadows had a plan for him. In the heart of Hiroshima, where a once vibrant city stood, silence filled the air like a thick fog. John Hersey found himself standing at the very spot where destruction had reigned. The ground beneath him was strangely warm, almost breathing. As he looked around, shadows emerged from the ruins, twisting and turning like restless spirits. They danced closer, their whispers growing louder until it became a booming chorus. "You are one of us." Overcome by the weight of their words, Hersey dropped to his knees, feeling his reality slip away. He vanished into the swirling darkness, becoming part of the haunted history that now lingered in that place. In an instant, he was no longer a man but a memory, forever intertwined with the echoes of those lost and the shadows that remained. Weeks turned into months. Hersey was gone, but his belongings returned to his family. They found his last manuscript, but there was something strange about it. The last lines read, "I have no shadow now." This sent chills through everyone who read it. People began to talk. They whispered about shadows that seemed to move on their own. Some felt a strange call to Hiroshima, as if Hersey's shadow wanted someone else to join him. Then, in the ruins where he vanished, a new shadow appeared. It was different. It did not sway or shift. It was perfect and unchanging. The air felt heavy around it, making hearts race and minds wonder. What did this mean? Who was it for? As fear and mystery spread like wildfire, one question lingered. Was Hersey truly gone, or was he still waiting, hidden somewhere in the dark? The city held its breath, caught in a web of shadows that refused to fade away. As night falls, shadows creep in. They stretch across the ground, whispering secrets only the brave can hear. You might feel like they are parts of you, moving with every step. But are they truly yours? This thought lingers, heavy in the air, as a chill runs down your back. The darkness holds mysteries, waiting for someone to uncover them. If you found your heart racing with every word, don't forget to show us some love. Like, share, and subscribe to dive deeper into the unknown. Have you faced a ghostly encounter? We want to hear your story. Send it to our email and you might see it shared here. Remember, the world is full of wonders and shadows. Stay curious, stay brave. Let's keep the light glowing together.